Welcome to the third session of Healthy Head and Healthier Mind. Just to recap a few things from yesterday's discussion, I was mentioning repeatedly that wearing glasses is not a solution for the defects of vision. So, as much as possible, my young listeners try to avoid your weakness of the vision just by following the healthy tips which I have been giving you. As much as possible, avoid wearing glasses. In my age, I learned this lesson after a much longer time. When once I started developing this vision defects, then I studied many books regarding the same, and then I developed my own solutions. So that is why I'm advising all my younger generation listeners, as much as possible, take care of your eyes. Now, for those who have already been using glasses, I have two tips now. Those who are using glasses only for reading, the tip is don't remove your glasses and wear your glasses very often. Which means when you are using these glasses for reading, then within a few minutes, don't remove the glasses and don't do any other activity. Again, within a few minutes, don't start wearing glasses once again. This will increase the stress on the brain. Because as soon as you start wearing the reading glasses, brain will take its own time to understand that there is some change which happened in the vision pattern, and brain will adjust accordingly. As I told you earlier, brain will pick up the signals from both the eyes and it will create a three-dimensional image within. So as soon as you wear glasses, there will be some change in the pattern in which the signals are being received in the nervous system. So brain will act accordingly, and within a few minutes, brain will adjust to the new experience. But if you remove the glasses after a few minutes, again brain will take its own time to adjust to the changed pattern. Now this brain is a self-sustaining and self-modifying system. It is a collection of billions of neurons and a very complicated nervous system. So when you start using your glasses for reading, very often don't try to remove the glasses or put on the glasses, because our habit is that only when we start reading or when we start looking at the computer screen or when we start looking at the mobile phone screen, that is when we wear the glasses and then we remove the glasses. But this is not really a very good habit, because as and when you remove the glasses and put on the glasses, brain takes its own time to adjust to the new situation, and this will increase the stress on the brain as such, and this will gradually lead to more and more of head related issues. Immediately it may develop some headache or itching in the eyes, and it will take its own time to normalize the health of the brain. This is the first tip. Now the second tip is, as our younger kids are subjected to reading in the young age itself, they may develop only the nearsightedness and they may not have the ability of farsightedness. So then they will be recommended with the glasses in the young age itself. What happens when they reach old age is they will not be able to see the faraway objects also, and their vision of nearer as well as farer visions both will be affected. Now they are forced to use either bifocal lens or the new fashion is the progressive lens. Progressive lens is much more expensive than the bifocal lens. Bifocal lens will have a combination of convex as well as concave pattern of glass. At the lower side, there will be for reading, and the upper side it will be for looking the distant objects. Now, instead of having two separate lens patterns, they will make it as a progressive pattern of glass, which is much more expensive. Now, sadly, people, when they start using either bifocals or progressive lens, they will have to wear glasses as soon as they wake up, and they will remove glasses only when they retire to bed. Until then, they will have to keep on wearing glass only. But as I'm telling you, wearing glasses is not a solution. And if you keep on wearing this bifocal or progressive lens glasses, you are addicted to this usage of glass lifelong, or you are forced to use these glasses lifelong. You will not be able to see the nearer objects also, you will not be able to see the faraway objects also, which is a great injustice done to the eyes which God designed in your body. But once you start using glasses, there is no other solution. You can follow my practice of, if you keep on practicing yoga abhyasa, all types of yoga abhyasa, and if you focus more on inverted postures, you will be able to use the same glass with the same power at least for 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, every year the power of the glasses will keep changing because the eyes will keep getting aged. So my younger generation listeners, take all these tips seriously and take care of your eyes much larger than you take care of your mobile phone. These were 2 tips regarding the eyes. Now the third one is regarding the ears. As you can see on the slide, I have been telling you, you should not put anything to the eyes as such. When the body grows in the young age, even the ears will be growing within. And during the process of growing, it is very natural that these ears will keep developing wax there. Because the inner ear, if you recall the picture I had shown you yesterday, the inner ear will have some bones, some muscles, and some nerves. So when they keep growing, gradually that mechanism takes its own time to systematize itself. And that is when it requires a lubrication within. And when that lubrication is happening, to some extent, the toxins are released. In general, when you sleep at night, even the brain will relax from the focused mode, the brain will go into a diffused mode, and even the brain will release all its toxins at night, and the toxins will be sent back to the bloodstream so that it will go out of the body. Even the brain generates a lot of toxins in its own way because of its continuous activity. But during daytime, it cannot release all the toxins because even the brain is working heavily. At night time, brain detoxifies itself in a regular way, day-to-day basis. Similarly, even in the ears, the toxins are released, and these toxins are part of this wax, and this wax comes out of the ear on its own. So you really don't have to worry much about the formation of wax within the ear. If there is a pain in the ear, then whatever I have showed you here, wrap a warm crystal salt in a cloth and press it gently around the ears. This will solve most of the problems. If at all, even by giving this warmth of the crystal salt, if it doesn't get solved, what you can do is you can put 1 drop of salt water into the ears. If you put 1 drop of salt water, salt is a very good disinfectant. If the wax is solidified there, it will get slightly liquefied, and the liquid wax will easily come out of the ears along with the salt water. But I don't recommend that. You can use this salt water only in emergencies. Otherwise, whatever I'm telling you, any type of ear pain, just give the vapor of the crystal salt into the ears. That is enough. Most of the time, all these problems will be solved. I just want to tell you one experience of mine. Last year, when I was going to my university for my research related work, early morning I used to leave my house and I used to reach the university well in time. I used to reach university by 8 o'clock to meet my PhD guide. So I used to leave my house very early. It was winter season. One day I did not cover my ears through cotton. In a hurry, I wore my helmet and I went all the way. Next day, I had an infection in the right ear, and some strange sound started coming in the right ear as if some fluid is moving there. I came to know that my right ear is affected, and the next day, the ear got completely blocked. Right ear got completely blocked. Only left ear I was able to listen. Right ear was not working at all. I came to know that the healing process is happening and toxins are being ejected out, and that is when the ear canal is blocked. I tried all the therapies, the herbal therapies, the tulsi water ingesting inside, and Baba Ramdev's site had some therapies. I tried all that, but nothing worked. Nothing worked, to be frank with you. I tried this method only, wrapping the warm crystal salt in a cloth and pressing it around the ears. That helped me a lot in overcoming the pain. Gradually, within 2-3 days, the pain went away, but the blockage still remained. But I kept on practicing my yogasanas. And I did not visit any ENT surgeon because I know if I visit an ENT surgeon, what is going to happen there, I already know. So I did not visit. I kept on practicing yogasanas and I kept on using this therapy only for continuously 1 week. And after about 15 days, the pain got completely gone and the sound also completely went. But the blockage of the right ear remained. I used to listen only to through my left ear. But as I kept on practicing my yogasanas further, after about 3 weeks, gradually the blockage started clearing out. And after about 1 month, my right ear completely opened up. And after that, my both ears are working fine. After this experience, I made it sure that even if there is any hurry, if there is a moisture outside, if there is a cold weather outside, if I am traveling in a bike, I will compulsorily put two cotton buds into my ears to prevent the moisture going into the ear canal. This I learned in a very hard way. But I had faith on God, I had faith on my own system. I kept on practicing yoga abhyasa only, and I kept on taking these preventive measures. Only this particular remedy, wrapping of the warm crystal salt in a cloth and pressing it gently around the ears. That is the only remedy. Regarding black pepper kashaya, later on I am going to tell you how to prepare that also. That also helped me a lot. This black pepper kashaya also helped me a lot. And that is how after about a month, my blockage in the ear completely got cleared. Okay. So I wanted to share this experience. Now coming back to the same ears, why humans are suffering from ear infections, why others are not suffering, why other birds and animals, even they are exposed to the moisture, why they are not suffering? The reason is in the anatomy of the body. Now when God designed each body, he designed it in such a way that each body will sustain on its own. So for human beings, he gave hair on the head so that this hair on the head will gradually grow and it will cover the ears. When it covers the ears, when they go out, naturally the moisture which is outside will not get into the ears because the hairs will prevent that. But gradually, because of the civilization, we had our own style of cutting our hairs, and we keep on cutting hairs and hairs keep on growing. Because as soon as you cut the hair, automatically there is a sensation in the brain that hair is not grown fully. As I've been telling you, each and every cell in our body is conscious of its own functionality. So if you get your hair cut, that signal will go to the brain, and gradually again there will be an effort made to grow the hair, because until the hairs reach a particular length, brain will not stop growing them. Especially in the modern culture, gents will specifically go for haircut in India. At least we are happy that Indian ladies have been following the old custom of non-cut hair, older generation ladies. As we are blindly copycatting the Western culture, now even the ladies are going for bob cut, different types of haircut. In the Western condition, I don't know. that father will have a baldy head and the son will have a mushroom cut. That is the style going on now. So without basically understanding why hairs are growing on the head, people are thinking that hairs are a nuisance on the head. They are going for different shapes of cutting it. But hairs are actually taking a lot of protein from your bloodstream for their growth. Hairs are very much necessary for the protection of the skull as well as for protection of the ears. But the social conditioning has grown in such a way that if at all from tomorrow onwards, if I leave my hair just like that, my colleagues and my friends and my relatives everyone will be seriously mocking at me, saying that Arvinda has become mad. So you can see some saints and sages, they leave their hair just like that. They don't cut it. Reason is they have understood that the consciousness is working in the body. It has its own purpose. So hairs have to be, if they are just left just like that to grow, they will cover the ears. This was the mechanism which God produced in the human body. Secondly, in the olden days, prehistoric ages, females used to stay inside the cave and males used to go out searching for food. So naturally, again, one more mechanism God developed in the human body is mustache and beard should come only to males. They need not come to females. This is the reason for safeguarding the neck. Hair on the head will grow down and it will cover the neck at the back side also. At the front side, if the neck has to be protected, there must be hair from the chin or coming down. So God made a mechanism by means of secreting male hormones in the male body. Beard also will grow, mustache also will grow, so that neck also will be protected. Hair on the head will be protecting the ears also. But gradually, because of the modern culture, people started thinking that beard and mustache is also a nuisance, and now we have been neatly shaving. Now, everybody who does not shave the beard, they are called as uncultured, maybe. So, people really do not understand their own bodies. They do all types of nuisance with their own bodies. They don't understand the divine purpose of some of the organs or some of the parts of this human body. It takes a much longer time to understand God's mind. Unless we understand our own mind, how can we expect that we understand God's mind? If at all you have to understand God's mind, first you have to limit your own mind. You have to reduce your own arrogance. Only then God will reveal his secrets. So I had to clear both of these things to reiterate again and again and again that this body is designed by God and manufactured by God, and even it is maintained by God himself. He is working with his own realm, and human beings are working in their own realm. This I am going to discuss later on about the God system and the man system, how drastically they have been differently working into opposite directions. That anyhow, it is not the topic of today. That is for a later on stage. So there is a question: taking wax out of ears regularly creates any harm for the ears? The answer is you need not take wax out of the ears regularly. Wax will automatically come out on its own. If you keep on involving in your physical exercises, just like sweat goes out of your body, wax also goes out of your body. You can observe that if your eyes are strained before you go to sleep, next day morning you can observe that at the corners of the eyes, all the toxins which were there inside the eyes have come out in the early morning, which simply means that body knows how to heal itself provided you give it a sufficient time. Similarly, the wax that is formed inside the ears, it will come out on its own because there are living cells working inside. They'll all be throwing these toxins outside the ears. Just like the living cells inside the ears, through a minute muscular movement, they are going to eject out the toxins which are inside the eyes outside in the early morning. same way ear will happen. So you don't have to worry too much about the functionality of all these things. Again, I repeat, all these cells within the body, they have their own consciousness. They know their own functionality. If we leave them for themselves, they will work on their own. So there is no need to keep on taking the wax outside the ears. Unless if it is solidified there due to some other reason, maybe due to infection or whatever. Then only whatever remedy I have been telling you, you follow that. Otherwise, don't use buds regularly to put into the ears, because we don't know. Once you put some bud stick into your ears, you don't know up to what depth it will go inside. If at all it touches your the membrane, the very subtle membrane which is there inside eardrum, if it touches, then you will have a serious damage. So why to take unnecessary risk there? Yesterday I had told, no other birds and animals are doing any of these things except for the human beings who keep on putting their little fingers inside their ears. You should not. You should leave these organs for themselves. You can only use those organs for best efficiency. Otherwise, they are capable of taking care of their own functionality. Health as such is naturally present with other birds and animals. Only human beings are losing their health in many ways because of all these mischievous activities. So you need not worry too much about that. That's what I had told you. See, in the slide itself, you can see that don't put anything into the ears for the sake of cleaning them. The cleaning process happens automatically from within and you don't have to interfere with the process. Okay. With this revision, let me continue for today's discussion. I'm going to tell you a very beautiful remedy called Tailagandusha, which is practiced since prehistoric ages. But in the modern ages, after British invaded our country, all these beautiful methods had gone sidelined. As soon as the medical system was taken over by the Western method of diagnosis, and when the medical system got influenced by the engineering technological inventions, all types of equipments and reports, all these wise methodologies have been sidelined. Now it is my effort to throw some light or tell about all these beautiful remedies to the real Indians, because this is purely an Indian method which was invented many millenniums before. This is called as Tailagandusha. You can practice it once in a week. You are seeing the picture. At the left side you have sesame oil, at the middle there is coconut oil, at the right side there is groundnut oil. All these oils are edible oils. Actually, from the word tila itself, the word taila is coming. Sesame oil is considered as one of the best oils, either for edible purpose or for usage, even for internal usage, even for external usage. And even coconut oil is a very healthy oil. Even a groundnut oil is a very healthy oil, because even coconut is also edible and groundnut is also edible. There's a simple principle in Ayurveda that whatever can go inside the body, that also can be applied outside the body. Which means we can consume coconut oil can be put on the head. We can consume groundnut, the same oil can be used for cooking. We can consume this sesame seed, we can use this sesame oil also for cooking. In general, in the northern side of India, they use more of sesame oil. In the southern side of India, they use more of groundnut oil. In the coastal region, they use more of coconut oil, because coconut plantation is plenty in the coastal side. So you choose any one of these three oils. What you have to do, I am going to tell you later on in the next slide. Taila Gandusha. Gandusha means putting this oil or water into the mouth and gargling. This is Taila Gandusha. Here you are not actually gargling. I'll tell you the procedure gradually. This is an age-old, simple and powerful therapy mentioned in the classical text Charaka Samhita. In empty stomach, early in the morning, take a little amount of this oil, about 2 to 3 teaspoons of this cooking oil. Out of these three oil, any particular oil, put this cooking oil into your mouth, but do not swallow it. Do not swallow it. In general, Ayurveda says 9 qualities of oil. The 9 qualities of oil are: oil must be unctuous, it must be heavy, it must be cold, it must be soft, it must be fluid, it must be viscous, it must be mobile, it must be slow, and it must be subtle. For all these 9 words, exact Sanskrita words are there. Yesterday I had told you about a story on Sanskrita, story of Shalivahana. Sanskrita is such a well-refined and well-structured language. So, in the Ayurveda textbook, the 9 qualities of oil are listed in this fashion using exact Sanskrita words. So, the preferred ones are sesame oil. If your body is of Vata type, you can use sesame oil. If your body is of Pitta type, you can use coconut oil. If your body is of Kapha type, you can use groundnut oil. How to find out the prakriti of your body? This I have already told you while discussing the art and science of eating. So find out your body's prakriti or the constitution. Either your Vata type or Pitta type or Kapha type, or you may be a combination of Vata Pitta or Pitta Kapha or Vata Kapha. You need not really take it very seriously about your body's prakriti. Actually, whatever you like, based on that, your prakriti is there. In fact, it is the reverse. Based on your prakriti, you will be liking something. People who are of Vata type, they are liking some type of food. People who are of Pitta type, they are liking some type of food. People who are of Kapha type, they are liking some type of food. This body is actually inducing that type of interest within you. So you listen to your own body. Your body tells you that you like this or you dislike this. Based on that, you choose either a sesame oil or a coconut oil or a groundnut oil. Maybe in future, in one of my other presentations, I'll discuss more about this Vata, Pitta and Kapha types in much more detail. Not for this particular presentation. So choose any of these 3 oils, take 2 to 3 teaspoons and put it into the mouth. Do not swallow. Next, what you do, slowly swish the oil inside the mouth in all the directions. Pull it through the teeth and perform mouthwash with closed mouth for about 5 to 10 minutes or more. This oil has to be inside your mouth for nearly 5 to 10 minutes without you spitting it out or without you swallowing it. Even by mistake, even if you swallow a little bit of oil, it does not harm you because it is an edible oil. It will simply go into the stomach and it will simply get digested. You don't have to worry too much about it. But you have to keep this oil within 5 to 10 minutes. And you have to keep on moving it within the mouth. Okay. What happens is, this oil should not be swallowed. Even if you swallow accidentally, you need not worry, as the oil passes through the normal digestive process with no harm. Initially, the oil remains viscous inside, but with more and more mouthwash within, it becomes thin and white like wool. Then you spit it out. Actually, once you put the oil, initially it will be thicker. Once you keep on moving it within the mouth, you will feel as if it is thinning out. And after some time, you will have a very free movement of this oil along with the saliva. Your body will release a lot of saliva during this process, and the saliva will mix with the oil and the oil will be diluted. When the oil is diluted, you will be feeling that it has become very thin now, and then you can spit it out after about 5 to 10 minutes. Until then, you will have to keep on moving this within the mouth. The time taken for the thinning of the oil indicates the status of your health. Faster means better health. As I told you, saliva gets secreted in the mouth and the saliva mixes with the oil. If the saliva is strong enough, oil will become thinner faster. That means if the saliva is stronger, then you have a very good digestive ability. That means your mouth is secreting strong saliva. which indicates that you have a very good health. So you can check on your own about your status of health. If this oil thins out within 5 minutes, then you can remain ensured that your saliva is strong. And if it takes longer time, then it means that your saliva is not strong. But you don't worry. Even if your saliva is not strong, just by this particular practice, your saliva will again become stronger. I have already shown you the anatomy or the picture of the mouth itself. So there are salivary glands. Those salivary glands in multiple portions of the mouth, the more and more they secrete saliva, actually it is an exercise for them. They will become more and more active, and gradually they will start secreting a stronger saliva. So the time taken for the thinning of the oil indicates the status of your health. If it is thinning faster, it means it is better health. During this Taila Gandusha, perform the actions of Swarashodhana Kriya and Nadishodhana Kriya also. Swarashodhana Kriya means, I will give you a small demo now. If this oil is inside the mouth, you will have to make a sound from the throat like this. This is called as Swarashodhana Kriya. You have to forcefully make this sound from the throat. So, the air from the throat will come out and through the nostrils it will go out. And the oil will remain in the mouth. This is very good exercise for your vocal cords also. Then the next one is called Nadi Shodhana Kriya. This I cannot orally tell you. When I start my practical classes, I will show you a demo using the video. But until then, this is already mentioned in the videos which we have posted in our YouTube channel. You can go through those videos, you can search for this and you can start practicing it. So during Taila Gandusha, you can perform the actions of Swarashodhana Kriya and Nadishodhana Kriya also, which will Nadishodhana Kriya will cleanse your nostrils as well. Meanwhile, you can rub the tongue to the upper palate so that even your mouth will be completely cleansed. Now, when you are doing this, don't feel dirty. When you are doing this, don't feel dirty. When I'm explaining this, some of you may be already feeling, what sir, putting oil into the mouth and then swishing it, keeping it 5 to 10 minutes. What sir? If you tell that way, then I'll ask you one more question. What about all other oils which you are putting into your stomach? All other oils which they use a slang as enne in Kannada, what about that? When such people do not feel dirty, why are you feeling dirty for a therapy? This is a therapy. This is a maintenance. It is a method of detoxifying the mouth. So you don't have to feel dirty. In a service center, if a servicing person is using a water jet and when he is cleansing your car or a bike, when all the dirt which is inside the bike or a car is coming out, do you feel dirty? Who made it dirty? You only drove the car, you only drove the bike, you only used it, you only made it dirty. So this Taila Gandusha is basically a cleansing process. Don't feel that this is dirty. If you say that this is dirty, then I will say that the whole body is basically dirty. If you don't maintain your body keeps on becoming dirty and dirty again and again. As I've been telling you yesterday, this body is made up of life-giving cells and to some portion there are life-taking cells also. If the efficiency of the life-giving cells is reduced, gradually life-taking cells will take over. So it's a continuous battle right from birth till death. It's a continuous battle which is happening in the body. And body will keep on detoxifying itself. We have to help our body to detoxify itself in a better way so that the detoxification process will happen faster. So many of the methods which I tell you, if you feel that you are dirty, then I should say that your mind is more dirtier than your body. It is the mind, it is the ego, it is your memory that is contaminated more than the body. If you believe me, And if you logically arrive at a conclusion, if you agree with my viewpoints, then you will know that why Charaka told this method in his Charaka Samhita. Can you say that Charaka is also dirty, Sushruta is also dirty? They are highly realized spiritual masters. They are not just Ayurvedic therapists. They are highly realized spiritual masters. Otherwise, in Ayurveda, without using chemistry, without using any type of diagnosis or testing, how do they arrive at a conclusion that this particular herb is meant for this particular disease? There is a very potent herb called Amritavalli in Kannada or Guduchi in Sanskrita, Tippatiga in Telugu. It is such a great herb, it is a non-dying herb. Amritavalli means it's a non-dying creeper. Wherever it grows, even if water is not there, it will wait for years together for availability of water. As soon as the water is available through rain or through some other mechanism, this will again grow. It is a non-dying herb. So they understood if this herb can remain non-dying, it has a health on its own. This particular Amritavalli they use for making a beautiful medicine in Ayurveda called Amritarishta, which is a medicine for all types of fevers. All types of fevers, whether it is a bacterial fever, whether it is a viral fever, cold, cough, any type of fever. For all types of fever, Amritavalli or Amritarishta is the best medicine. Now tell me, how did Sushruta or Charaka or Vagbhata or any of the sages of the Ayurveda, how did they come to a conclusion that this particular Guduchi contains some ingredients which can cure fever? How did they come to know? Without any chemical lab, without any research data. Nowadays, for everything they require research data, they require statistics. But how did they find out all this? There is something called intuition. If you reduce your ego, gradually God will release all his secrets. As long as people have their own ego and arrogance, they will never be able to understand the secret of bodies, which God only designed and manufactured. So all these Ayurvedic sages, they are not qualified doctors such. They did not come out of any university. Actually, each one of them are equivalent to one university. I will not boast of myself, but I have been getting some compliments from some of my contacts. One of my MTech students, he came into spiritual path also to some extent. He is not in regular contact with me, but he has been having heavy questions and a lot of discussions with me. After about 2 years, he started calling me as a walking and talking university. This is one compliment which I got. And I had received one more compliment. My friend's one cousin, he had become an engineer and his sister had become a doctor. One day when I went to their house for some function, both were there. So I humorously quipped that brother became an engineer and sister became a doctor. We have engineer and doctor together in a family. Then both of them simultaneously told me, you are two in one. They told me that we are two separate as engineer and doctor. You are both engineer and doctor. These are some of the very healthy comments and flatterings which I got. So that way I am happy. I should tell you again that I am not boasting of myself. But I learned a lot by the tradition of yoga, tradition of Ayurveda, tradition of Vedanta. That way, India is very rich in its esoteric knowledge. So I'm telling you again and again that when I discuss all these things, don't come to a judgment that I'm telling you some dirty thing. If you conclude or judge me that this is all dirty, then I'll again tell you that your mind is more dirtier than your body. That's why I have been repeatedly telling the emails also that you people should have a learning attitude. Otherwise, it is very difficult to educate the strangers as well. In my regular system of classes, I have my own filtering mechanism where I screen everybody. Whereas in the online system, I cannot screen everybody. I don't know your ability to grasp these things. That is why Adi Shankara says no. Mandadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. I don't know about your abilities of grasping, but the first thing is you should have a Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You should effectively listen, then you should effectively understand, then you should effectively store. These are the qualities for learning. Let me continue with Taila Gandusha now. So this is not a dirty process. This is a detoxifying process. This is a servicing process for ENT. It is not just for the mouth. It is for your ears also, nose also, throat also. Remember the picture which I showed you yesterday. And then you will understand how this particular method of Taila Gandusha is helping in maintaining the health of throat, nose, and ears also. After spitting the oil, wash the mouth several times with water and then drink 1 glass of water. Now, the faster the oil thins out, it is better. If it does not thin out faster, you will have to have patience to keep it for more time. But within 10 minutes, definitely it will become thinner. You may have a little bit of pain in your cheeks because of this particular practice, but you have to bear it for those 10 minutes. Afterwards, you can spit the oil, you can wash your mouth again several times, and then drink 1 glass of water. This is the whole practice of Taila Gandusha. What are the benefits of this method called Taila Gandusha? If the mouth is healthy, then the body is healthy. Remember this. Mouth is the inlet for the food. If the mouth is healthy, then the food will be digested through the saliva. It goes into the stomach, it goes into the intestine, nutrients get absorbed into the blood, and that blood is pumped by the heart, and the lungs will be oxygenated in the blood, and the oxygenated blood will be circulated throughout the body, and your health is remaining that way. If the mouth is not healthy, then the body may lose its health. Through this oil pulling, in English it is called as oil pulling. It is not actually oil pulling. English is a very funny language that way. Very crazy and funny language. The spelling L-I-V-E, sometimes we tell it as live, sometimes we tell it as live. We only have to decide how to pronounce it. Spelling is same, two pronunciations are there for the same word. That English is a very funny language. Here they say oil pulling. It is not actually pulling the oil. It is actually putting the oil into the mouth and swishing through it. But in English, for Taila Gandusha, they don't have an equivalent word in English. They made a wording called as oil pulling. So through oil pulling, the toxins from the mucous membranes are expelled out of the system. Due to the continuous secretion of saliva, the mucous membranes are detoxified. One of the obvious results of this oil therapy is the fixing of the loosened teeth. As you keep this oil and you keep on swishing, the bottom of the teeth, that muscle which is holding the teeth, that is effectively cleansed. When it is effectively cleansed, the bottom of the teeth or the foundation will become stronger. So the fixing of the loosened teeth, the stoppage of the bleeding gums, because of this particular exercise, this oil is a cooking oil, which is a nutritious oil. So when the gums are in contact with this particular oil, they will absorb, the gums will absorb the nutrients which are in the oil, and it will stop the bleeding of the gums. It will heal the tooth pain, which is natural, as I have told. It will help in whitening of the teeth, and it will help in strengthening of the voice. That is why I had told you have to practice Swarashodhana Kriya also. People keep saying that I have a very strong voice. Some people say it is like a Kanchana Kantha. They say that your voice is vibrant and energetic. I tell them this voice became vibrant and energetic because of the healthy practices only. Otherwise, even I had suffered a lot because of asthma, respiratory issues, fever, and even I had suffered in my young age and in the middle age. I learned all these lessons on my own about how to maintain the health of this body. Practicing of yogasanas, practicing of pranayama, and practicing of all these mechanisms, all these therapeutic methods. That is how my voice has remained vibrant. So if you keep practicing Swarashodhana Kriya, even the voice gets strengthened. In addition, the stomach, lungs, and liver also are strengthened. Now you may wonder how stomach, lungs, and liver are strengthened. When you are practicing this Nadi Shodhana Kriya and Swarashodhana Kriya, without your own knowledge, you are giving exercise to stomach also, lungs also, liver also. Liver is the biggest muscle in the body. When the lungs are pressed, even the diaphragm will have its own exercise, even the liver will have its own exercise. That is how they are all strengthened. In this body, all are connected by means of the muscular system and the nervous system. So, even though this work is happening only in the mouth, there is exercise happening for the system. Oil therapy heals the whole body in perpetuity. According to the research conducted by Ukrainian physician Dr. F. Karaj, remember my friends, research was conducted by one Ukrainian physician called Dr. F. Karaj on this Thailagandusha. This treatment will achieve remarkable results with illnesses like allergies, common cold, sneezing, infections in the mouth, ear, nose, throat, eyes, pains like migraine, neck pain, back pain, lip cracking, fevers, and irritability. This has been reported by the Dr. F. Karach, who is an Ukrainian physician. After he released the results of his research, actually the government of Ukraine made it mandatory for all the citizens to practice this oil pulling or Taila Gandusha every day early morning. Government made a rule. Just like now the present government made a general method of practicing yoga abhyasa, or our proud prime minister, he made it internationally famous by suggesting the celebration of International Day of Yoga. Same way, many decades before, the government of Ukraine verified these facts and they made it mandatory that their citizens should keep on practicing oil pulling or Taila Gandusha. That is not just for the mouth, not just for ENT, it is for the complete body's health. But you don't have to do it every day, you will have to do it only once in a week. That is enough. We should not overdo anything. Just because something is beneficial, we should not overdo anything. That way, weekly once is enough, or at least once in a month, make it a point. If not once in a week, once in a month, make it a point to practice this Tailagandu. Let me talk about vocal cords now. You can see this picture. There is throat here, and these are the vocal cords here. And when I am breathing, it is open passage. When I am talking, it is a closed passage. Normally, when you are silent, breathing keeps on happening through the nostril. Air goes down, air goes down, air goes down to the lungs. But whenever we are talking, we are basically exhaling. We are pumping out air from the lungs, and the air comes out here, and this will be constricted. When you make a decision to speak, from the brain, signal goes to the vocal cord, and naturally the signal goes to the respiratory system also. All these muscles and nerves will work together, air will get pumped out, and this will come nearby. When it comes nearby, it will touch each other. When it touches each other, that is when you will start making sound at the vocal cords, at the throat. Now the sound comes out, that sound which is coming out of the throat is being modulated by your lips and the tongue. That is how you pronounce different wordings. All the vowels are from the vocal cord. A, I, U, E, I, O. All these are right now produced at my vocal cords only. So when I say U, basically all these muscles are working together. If I remain silent, it will become opened up and air will go down. Okay. Now, whenever you say ko, ko, go, ngo, at that time your root of the tongue is getting touched. At that time, vocal cord is also producing a sound, but that is being modulated by the root of the tongue. In Sanskrita, there are different terminologies for these 5 sets of consonants. K, K, G, G, Ng, Ch, Ch, J, Jh, Ñ, T, T, D, D, N, T, Th, D, Th, N, P, P, B, Bh, M. Right from the tip of the tongue, middle of the tongue, bottom of the tongue, and teeth and lips. When we say pa, pa, ba, bha, ma, we are using lips. Whenever we say ta, ta, da, dha, na, we are using our tip of the tongue with the teeth. When you say ta, ta, da, dha, na, only the tip of the tongue is touching the upper palate. Cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, middle of the tongue. Ka, ka, ga, gha, nga, bottom of the tongue. But the sound is coming out from the vocal cords only, along with the air which is coming out of the lungs. That is whenever we speak, always through exhalation only we speak. That is the reason they say that 1 hour of talking is equivalent to 4 hours of physical work. Which means when we talk for 1 hour, we are only exhaling. Our percentage of inhalation is less, and we lose lot of energy when we talk. So we should limit our talking as such that way. In Kannada, Basavanna has told a vachana, great vachana. ನುಡಿದರೆ ಮುತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರದಂತಿರಬೇಕು, ನುಡಿದರೆ ಮಾಣಿಕ್ಯದ ದೀಪ್ತಿಯಂತಿರಬೇಕು, ನುಡಿದರೆ ಸ್ಫಟಿಕದ ಶಲಾಕೆಯಂತಿರಬೇಕು, ನುಡಿದರೆ ಲಿಂಗಮೆಚ್ಚಿ ಅಹುದಹುದೆನಬೇಕು. My Kannada speaking people will appreciate this particular vachana which was told by our elder brother Basavanna. So he has stressed out, or stressed, not stressed out, he stressed the importance of speech. So when we speak, exhalation is happening. When we speak, vocal cords are vibrating, and after that the sound is being modulated by the mouth. Now, how to keep the health of the vocal cords? Why always there will be a regular throat infection? Throat infection basically because of excessive talking, and then throat infection is basically because of the toxins getting accumulated here, the toxins getting accumulated around here. Let us say when the breath goes in, let us say instead of breathing through the nostril, if you breathe through the mouth, now the air will directly go into the lungs. If the air is containing some germs, those germs will make their colony here at the vocal cords. If you breathe through the nostrils, then through the nasal passage when the air goes, the air will be warmed up and the germs will die on the way. But if you breathe through the mouth, then what happens is, when it goes through the mouth, the air will not be warmed up, and then all the germs will get accumulated here. That is why whenever we speak, without our own knowledge, many times we inhale through mouth also, and that is also one cause for throat infection. Throat infection is basically accumulation of germs at the vocal cords, nothing else. If you allow the germs to stay here, they will gradually stay here, they will gradually multiply. When they gradually multiply, they will affect the vocal cord. One day when they affect the vocal cord, and you will have to end up going to a ENT report. I am going to tell you how to keep the health of your vocal cords or the throat. For maintaining a better voice, don't strain your vocal cords unnecessarily by shouting or talking in a louder volume. As per the situation demands, you should plan a voice modulation. You should not unnecessarily use a louder volume. Many times, people want to prove their point to somebody else. When they want to prove their point to somebody else, they will raise their voice. but you prove your point only to those who are able to understand your point. Otherwise, there is no point in proving your point for pointless people. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvataha. This is told in the Bhagavad Gita. Out of thousands of people, only some of them will really try for this accomplishment. And even out of that some who are trying for the accomplishment, only some of them will really understand. This is told in the Bhagavad Gita. So there is no point in trying to prove ourselves to everybody else. And in that process, we lose our health. We many times shout. We many times quarrel. We raise our voice. If the person who is opposite to me, if he is able to understand, or if she is able to understand my intention, then it is fine. Now the other person also will keep on trying to prove his own point or her own point, and there is no point actually in doing this pointless conversation. So many times people lose the health of their vocal cord just because of excessive talking, excessive shouting, or talking in a loud volume, which is not necessary for that particular situation. If you have a mental control, you will have your voice control. People will raise their voice only when they lose their mental balance. That is why the title, Healthy Head and Healthier Mind. If your mind is in control, naturally your speech will be under your control. If your speech is under your control, you will know how much volume is required, at what situation, with which person, and for how much intensity. Otherwise, unnecessarily, everywhere people keep on shouting on each other, and they will be in their own stress and they will be losing their health. So don't strain your vocal cords unnecessarily by shouting or talking in a louder volume. Also, don't speak non-stop. Pause in between. You don't have to be a non-stop speaker. You don't have to convince anybody that way. Many times people speak only for satisfying their own ego. And if they talk for, let us say, continuously 20 minutes or half an hour, they'll feel happy that they talked for 20 minutes or half an hour. But in that 20 minutes and half an hour, what did they talk? And how much did they inhale? How much did they exhale? How much of training was there on the vocal cords? Ultimately, how much health did they lose? 1 hour of talking is equivalent to 4 hours of physical work. This is medically proved. Even I did not know this. When I attended Dr. Bharat Chandra's winner workshop many years before, he told that because he used to speak whole day for continuous 4 days, whole day he used to keep on speaking. Then he used to demonstrate how can he really modulate his speech so that he will not strain his vocal cords. I learned a lot from him. So don't speak non-stop, pause in between so that your lungs will have some rest, your vocal cords will have some rest, your brain will have some rest. While you are involved in continuous talk, keep sipping water to avoid the dryness of the throat. This is especially for people like me. We are in a talking profession only. Some of my colleagues are also in this session. They will understand my pain because we are in a talking profession, whether it is offline teaching or online teaching. We have to speak non-stop. Now 7:30 I start till 9 o'clock. I have to speak non-stop. But when I speak non-stop, I should use only that much of volume and I should pause in between. I am not speaking non-stop as such, like a bullet train. And when I am involved in a continuous talk, I have a water bottle adjacent to me only. You already know that once in a while I take a small break, I sip water. So people who are involved in a continuous talk, you have to keep sipping water to avoid the dryness of the throat. Otherwise, come back to this picture. Whenever you keep on talking, they keep on touching each other. There should be enough saliva here. I have been telling you that saliva is a very good antibiotic. There should be a enough amount of saliva which is lubricating this particular vocal cord. Now this becomes dry. If it is becoming dry and there will be more and more friction, there may be wound, there may be swelling here. You should avoid it. That is why whenever we are in continuous talk, we should keep sipping water to avoid the dryness of the throat. When talking to a group of people, use only 50 to 75% of your maximum talking volume. The 100% volume is required only in emergencies. This I had told you. As per the situation demands, we should decide how much of volume is necessary for that particular crowd or for that particular situation. We need not always use 100% volume. Many times people subconsciously keep on speaking in a higher volume because they subconsciously want to prove their point. Subconsciously they want to prove their presence there. Actually, it is not required. So you can use only 50 to 75% of your maximum talking volume. 100% volume is required only in emergencies. Let us say there is a dangerous situation, dangerous condition, you have to cry for help. Let us say a mad dog is chasing you. You will have to cry for help that so your neighbors or other pedestrians will help you. Only in such situation you require a 100% volume. Otherwise, in general, you will have to find out what is your 100% volume of your talking. You will have to reduce it to 50% in your normal lifestyle. You need not always raise your voice. The basic reason for throat infection is talking. Now, people who want to have a health of their throat, they should reduce their talking. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat, satyam apriyam, priyancha na anratam bruyat, esha dharmaha sanatanaha. The Subhashita says, Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. You should tell the truth, but you should tell the truth which is a pleasing truth. Na bruyat, satyam apriyam. If the truth is not pleasing to somebody, you should not tell that. You should not speak out that. Just for satisfying your ego, you should not do that. Satyam na bruyat, satyam apriyam, priyancha na anratam bruyat. Even if a lie is pleasing, lie should not be told. Even if a lie is pleasing, that should not be told. Keep all those things only for those sales and marketing people. You don't use it that way. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyancha na anratam bruyat, esha dharmaha sanatanaha. This is the ancient righteousness or the timeless righteousness. So we need not always use our voice for 100% volume. They are required only in case of emergencies. Otherwise, for your, let us say for a domestic talk, even a 25%, 30% volume is also enough. For a general classroom audience, a 50% is enough. For a bigger hall, maybe 75% is required. Sometimes if you have a loudspeaker, if you have a sound system there, even that much is not required. Your 25% itself will become 75% there. 100% is required only in case of emergencies. Once in a while, press below the jaws with your fingers to release the saliva into the mouth. If you are into a talking profession, you can press at the right side and left side below the jaws. That is where two salivary glands are present. Whenever you press there, these two salivary glands will release saliva into the throat. And when they go into the throat, they will lubricate the vocal cords. And the vocal cords will remain wet. You should never allow the vocal cords to become dry. When the voice is hoarse, mix equal amount of butter and honey and lick it slowly. Let us say because of your talking profession or because of any other reason, if there is a throat infection. Let us say due to the infectious air itself. Let us say you breathed through mouth or due to any other reason, maybe due to cold season. Let us say you had a hoarse voice. Whenever you have a hoarse voice, let us say your voice is affected. Easy remedies. Mix equal amount of butter and honey. 1 teaspoon of honey, 1 teaspoon of butter. Mix it thoroughly and lick it very, very, very slowly. When you lick it very, very slowly, this particular mixture will go to the vocal cord. It will lubricate the vocal cord completely. And the butter is also nutrition. Honey is also nutrition. Your vocal cords will be healed and vocal cords will have nutrition as well. This is a very useful remedy. Let me take a small break for sipping water. Okay, coming to today's story. One king, along with this minister, went for hunting. And they were in the jungle. In the jungle, the king was using a bow and arrow for hunting. In front of the king, he saw one animal and he tried to hunt that animal. He put the arrow into the bow and he released the arrow. By mistake, when the arrow left, the arrow touched his hand's thumb and he got his thumb dismembered because of this arrow itself. And the king is having no left hand thumb now. Blood is oozing out of the thumb and king is in pain. King cried for some time because of the pain. And now the king told to the minister, "Look at me, what happened? I lost my thumb. I don't know what to do. I lost my left hand's thumb. I don't know what to do." Now the minister said, "Don't worry, my dear king. Whatever happens, happens for the better. चिंते ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ರಾಜರೇ, ಆಗೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಕ್ಕೆ. घबराइए नहीं महाराज, जो भी होगा भलाई के लिए होगा." King became so enraged by this comment. When they came back to the palace, king put the minister into jail. And king told, "I had lost my thumb and I was in pain. You made a mockery of me, saying that everything will happen for the better. You were supposed to console me at that time. Instead of consoling me, you made a mockery of me. I am putting you into jail. What do you say now?" Again, minister said, "Don't worry, my dear king. Whatever happens, happens for the better. ಆಗೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜರೇ. जो भी होगा भलाई के लिए होगा महाराज." Now king said, "Okay, let me see what better will happen to me, what better will happen to you. Stay in the jail." After a few weeks, king was alone. He became bored. He decided, let him go alone for hunting now. This time, instead of a bow or arrow, he was having a sword in his hand. And he thought, he was having a bow and arrow as well. He thought, let me go for hunting on my own. Now, king went alone to the forest, and king went deep into the jungle, and he was lost in the jungle somewhere. He could not find out an escape route from the jungle. He went on going in different directions. He landed up in one aboriginal's shelter. There were many aboriginals, native forest dwelling people. When king went there, there were many people there. He thought these people may help me in getting out of the forest. But for his dismay, those people were aboriginals and they were having a festival on that day for their local deity. And they were looking for an animal which could be sacrificed to their deity. Normally, such people, aboriginal people, they will worship demigods or cruel gods and they will have all types of animal sacrifices. Now don't ask question about that now with me. All these things I am going to discuss in my next presentation, which is called as Secrets of Spirituality. Let us discuss that later on, not now. So when these aboriginals were looking for an animal, they found that, or they thought that their goddess herself had sent an animal now, which is having a crown on the head and which is having very good dress in the body, very plump and fluffy looking person. They did not know that this is a king of the neighboring kingdom. They thought one animal has come to their region. And the priest was so happy. There was a priest, the priest was so happy that they have an animal which can be sacrificed to their goddess or deity. Now, those people in their own language, they kept on discussing. Their language, king could not understand. Yesterday, I had told you the language of Paishachi, how in an unrefined way people speak. So they kept on speaking and they told the priest to check this animal. They caught hold of king, they dragged him to the altar and told the priest to check this king. Now the priest carefully checked this animal of sacrifice. Priest saw that the animal is not having one thumb in the left hand. And the priest said in his own language, release this animal, it is unfit to be sacrificed to our deity. And king understood, because I have lost my left hand's thumb, now they have felt that I am unfit to be sacrificed, they have released me. King became so happy, king came out. Somehow king came out of the jungle through his own efforts. He was so happy that because of his loss of the thumb, now his neck is saved. He went all the way to the palace and he told to the minister that, my dear minister, you were right. I had lost my thumb. Now, because of the loss of the thumb, today my neck is saved. Otherwise, they would have sacrificed me. So, whatever you told, that whatever happens, happens for the better, it proved to be true today. And again, the minister said, my dear king, whatever happens, happens for the better. महाराज रे आगोदेल्ला ಒಳ್ಳೆದಕ್ಕೆ. महाराज जो भी होगा भलाई के लिए होगा. Now the king said, something better happened to me. Because of the loss of the thumb, my neck is saved now. But you are in the jail now. What better has happened to you? The minister said, my dear king, you lost your thumb and your neck is saved. If you did not put me into jail, I would have come with you. I have all the 10 fingers intact. So I would have lost my neck. They would not have sacrificed you, they would have sacrificed me. That way, you put me into jail, something better to happen to me as well. My dear friends, you should develop a positive attitude towards life. We should not be worrying too much about the past. We should not be anxious too much about the future. Whatever is past, it cannot be undone. Whatever is future, it is in our hands, in our thoughts to have such future. If you live the present in a planned manner, your future problems will not occur at all. FATE, fate, means faith, actions, thoughts, and environment. You should have such an environment where you should have faith on yourself, and based on your own faith, you should have planned such actions, and actions and thoughts are interdependent on each other. And you should have an environment where your actions and thoughts are implemented in a planned fashion. That itself is fate. This story, today's story, indicates that we should develop hope for the future. We should have a positive attitude. We should not make small problems as big problems. In many of the families, what I see is something which is very silly, very small, that becomes a cause for a much bigger trouble. It is only a clashing of the two egos or three egos. Many times people want to prove their own point as such. They remain adamant. And because of that, they only invite trouble. If we can be adjustable to everybody, if we can have control over our own speech, then most of the problems in life can be eradicated at the root itself. But that requires such positive attitude, such faith on God, such faith on the self, such a disciplined lifestyle. Mental health is much more important than physical health as such. Physical health, if you lose, in some way you will gain it. Mental health, if you lose, it will take much more time to gain it again. Mental health requires personal understanding. Physical health does not require any personal understanding. That way, all of us should have a positive attitude towards life, and we should be able to sustain it, and we should be able to live. I repeat it little, life is nothing but a God-given gift. Let me go to the next slide. If there are any questions, you can put it in the chat box. Otherwise, we'll go on this way. For maintaining a healthy throat, perform Nadi Shodhana Kriya, Swara Shodhana Kriya, Alapana. In music, they sing right from Sa, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. 7 notes. All these 7 notes, Shadja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Devata, Nishada. These are called 7 notes, Sapta Swara. All these 7 notes have different levels, different frequencies as such. So, people who sing a lot, especially people who are singing classical music, they start with the foundational notes of these 7. So, if you can keep on singing these 7 notes in your way, in your own way, that is actually working like a therapy through the vocal cords. Because vocal cords will be subjected to a least frequency to the highest frequency, least loudness to the highest loudness. That way, Alapana helps in maintaining a healthy throat. There is something called Ujjayi Kriya, and there is something called Kaki Pranayama. Ujjayi Kriya means normally when we speak, we are exhaling. Can you make a sound in the throat when you are inhaling? I'm just giving you a demonstration. I had a cough now. I have been talking since last 1 hour. So I try to make a sound in my throat by inhaling. You can also try that later on. And make a sound in the throat when you inhale also. Make a sound in the throat when you exhale also. I am showing a demo again. Again, I had a cough because I have been speaking since last 1 hour. There is a slight throat infection. Whenever I complete a session every day, I again perform Swarashodhana, Nadichodhana Kriya afterwards just to cleanse my throat once again. So this Ujjayi Kriya is when you inhale also try to make a sound in the throat. When you exhale also try to make a sound in the throat. That is called Ujjayi Kriya. If it is mixed with the Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, it is mixed with inhalation, retention and exhalation, then it is called Ujjayi Pranayama. Regarding Kaki Pranayama, I have already told in my previous presentation. So whenever required or whenever possible, keep on practicing these things to maintain healthy throat. Okay, there is a question there. Let me see. Oil pulling should be practiced only in early morning, empty stomach, or it can be practiced before bedtime? No, it should be practiced early morning only, empty stomach only, not during before bedtime. Because when you are doing it, indirectly you are putting pressure to your muscles of the stomach as well. So it has to be practiced in the early morning only, in empty stomach only. Next question is, although we know we should keep posting Outlook, sometimes it gets difficult how to have it in spite of any situation. I did not understand this question. What is this? Although we know we should keep posting Outlook, sometimes it gets difficult how to have it in spite of any situation. Okay, positive outlook. Fine. Sometimes it gets difficult how to have it in spite of any situation. My dear friend, remember one main thing, that you came alone to this earth and you will go alone from this earth. That is a hard fact. When you were born, nobody came with you. When you die, no one else is coming with you. When you are living also, you should be ready to think alone, to act alone, to plan alone, and to take decisions alone. I'm not saying that you should leave your family for that matter, but ultimately, my thoughts are my thoughts. My life is my life. Once I swallow food into my throat, when it goes into the stomach, it is my food, I should digest it. Same way, my head is my head. If at all you have a right guidance, if at all you have a right thinking, then many times, most of our activities, we are deciding it. So, if you have to remain positive, that is your decision. Whether to remain positive or negative is again your decision. For example, you have joined to this session newly. I had told one proverb in my earlier presentation. ಬೆತ್ತಲೆ ಜನ ಓಡಾಡುವರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕೊಂಡವರು ಮುಠಾಳರು. जहां लोग नंगा नाचते हैं वहां कपड़े पहने वालों को बेवकूफ कहा जाता है. Wherever people walk naked, if somebody is wearing a dress there, that person will be called as mad. Now, who is right, who is wrong, you tell me. It majority is foolish, minority is wise. Majority are socially conditioned, their mind is not their own. For the majority of the people, nearly 90% of their thoughts are not their own thoughts. Most of those thoughts are induced thoughts. Somebody else will be inducing something else into their brain, and they will become scapegoats for those speech. If you can remain stable with your own thought force, if you can remain stable so that you will think whatever you want to think, you will not think what others want you to think. If you develop that stability, then you are independent, then you will remain positive always. It's a tough challenge. It's a tough challenge, but that is your choice. Remember the shloka which I told earlier. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvataha. Now you decide whether you are a mandadhikari, whether you are a madhyamadhikari, whether you are a uttamadhikari. It is up to you to become that. Now, once you decide to become that, no one is stopping you. I'll tell you an analogy of fish and water. Fish is in touch with water. Water is in touch with fish. It is the water which created the fishes inside it. Now, this fish, should it worry about other fishes, or this fish, should it worry about its own contact with the water? If the fish comes in contact with the water, then that is enough, no? As long as the fish is there, water is there to safeguard the fish. Wherever the fish goes, water is there, isn't it? So that is enough, no? Why should the fish worry about the opinion of other fishes? Other fishes may be unaware of water itself. So, the primary purpose of any intellectual human being is to come in contact with God. For coming in contact with God, I am going to help you later on in my next presentation. My earlier presentation was on physical health. This presentation is on mental health. My third presentation will be on spiritual health, where I am going to discuss at length. And there's a next question about how to stop unwanted thoughts. To stop unwanted thoughts, you have to practice meditation. Dhyanam nirvishayam manaha. Mind should be devoid of thoughts. It is you who decide what to think, what not to think. Many times your thoughts are induced thoughts. If your thoughts are induced thoughts, if somebody else is inducing thoughts into you, my first question will be, why are you giving a scope for others to induce thoughts into your brain? Why don't you develop independence? And why don't you develop this stability? You have to think whatever you want to think. You should not think whatever others want you to think. That way we are all alone. We came on this earth alone. We are going to go away from this earth alone. When you are living also, you should develop this independence alone. Then no one will stop you from remaining positive or negative. Again, remaining positive or remaining negative is your own choice. For example, coming into these sessions is your own choice. Now let us say you become discouraged by these sessions. Leaving from these sessions is also your own choice. I have had many people in my earlier presentation, nearly 80 plus people. out of which only hardly 30 people remained for this second session. What does it mean? They made a choice not to continue. That is their own choice. I cannot question them. They will think that this much is enough for us. We don't want any other further guidance. They decided that way. It is their own choice. Now, who is stopping anybody there? Let us say the person who questioned asked the question today, let us say whether you come to my next session or not, even I don't know. If you feel happy, then you will come. If you don't feel happy, you may not come. You may think that this person is answering in all weird ways. He is so direct. Sometimes he is insulting us also. You may think that way. I am not insulting anybody here, but I am telling the truth as it is directly. Your ego may prevent you from admitting the fact which I am telling. In such a case, you may decide to stop this attending the sessions also. Then whose is that choice? It is your own choice. That's why I told FATE. Fate means faith, actions, thoughts, and environment. That is the only way. In what way I can help you is, I can help you to gain your own stability. What I am assuring you is that I am in touch with water. I am a particular fish and I am in touch with water. I can help those other fishes who want to be in touch with water. I can help in the process. I can help those fishes who are ignorant of water also. Many human beings on this earth, they are comfortably unaware of God also. And they have their own imaginations about God also. So that way I can help in these fishes to come in contact with water. I am already in touch with water. So that way, that is the only intention here, nothing else. If that is happening, all my efforts and all your efforts will be well worth it. Okay. It is 9 o'clock now. Let me stop for today. This slide continue on Friday. Tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow we will not have this session. We will see you again on Friday. Until then, take care and bye-bye.